Daf Tesvav Amud Aleph, 13 lines from the top, Rav Papa Omer. We learned previously that there seemed to be an apparent stira in the Mishnayos and Yoma. We learned in our Mishnah that the Seder was, that apparently the Seder was Makteres HaKatayres U'Meitives HaNeiros, that first it was the Haktorah of the Katayres, the burning of the Katayres, and after that was the Hatavas U'Meitives HaNeiros. But then we learned that the Mishnah later says in Yoma that the second Gairel was for the Neiras, and the third was for the Ketairas. So the Ketairas came afterwards, so it seemed to be an apparent stira. One teretz that we had was that it's going according to the Rabbanan, who says that the Neiras were separated with the Ketairas. After the Hatav of the 5 Neiras, there was the Ketairas, and then it was the Shtei Neiras. So therefore, where it says that the Ketairas is before the Neiras, means it's before the 2 Neiras. Where it says that the Ketairas is after the Neiras, when it says that's referring to after the 5 Neiras. So the Ketairas comes after the 5 Neiras, but it comes before the Hatava of the last 2 Neiras. That was one approach to answer the apparent stira. Now, Rav Papa is going to offer a different approach. Rav Papa Kasha Harabanan Havashol. It's a machlekes of Rabbanan Havashol. The Rabbanan say that the Neiras were separated by the Ketairas. But Havashol says that no, the Neiras were separated with the Dam, the Ketairas came after the 2. So really, therefore, we can say that there is a difference between the Chachamim and between Havashol. And where it says that the Ketairas came after the Neiras, that's going according to Havashol. When it says that the Ketairas came before the Neiras, that's going according to the Rabbanan. And it's going according to the Rabbanan that the Ketairas was before the last 2 Neiras. So therefore, we could say that that's how we resolve it. There's a difference between Havashol and the Rabbanan. Well, how can you say that our Mishnah over here in our parak is like the Rabbanan and Paya is Kavashol? So you want to say that our Mishnah is like the Rabbanan. So the Ketairas comes beforehand, and it means it comes before the last 2 Neiras. And the Payas, it says the Gairel. It says the Gairel Shlishi is the Ketairas is after the Neiras. The second Gairel is the Neiras, and the third is the Ketairas, that's Havashol. And it's Havashol who says that the Ketairas is after the 2 Neiras. The Seifa of that Mishnah later on says, they brought the Talmud Kain Gadol Karza. He makes the first cut, the first incision of the shlit on the neck of the animal, umerek acher shchita al yora, and then another kind completes the shchita, and he completes it for him, and then it says nichnas lahakteres ketayres olahetivas aneres, and then it says on the seif of that mission that you are saying is avishol, it says ketayres and then neres. So that's also Rabbanan. So that's according to the Rabbanan that says that the ketayres is before the last 2 neres. So you're going to say Reisha v'Seifa Rabbanan, the first Reisha and the Seifa, the last is the Rabbanan Tziyasa V'Shol, and it splits it up with Avashol in the middle. It's very unusual. And Merlach Baruch Papa says yes, in Reisha v'Seifa Rabbanan Tziyasa V'Shol. Yes, that's what you must say. So Zakti Gemara Bishlam Abai Layamakara Papa. So Rav Pabaya, who said previously that it's going all according to the Rabbanon, but the difference are we talking about after the 5 Neiras or after the 2 Neiras? So we understand why he didn't want to say and explain to Rav Papa that how Rabbanon and Havashol, because of this very point. Reisha v'Seifa Rabbanon Tziyasa V'Shol loy mait mela. He doesn't want to set it up that way. Ella Rav Papa, my time Elomar Kabaya. But Rav Papa, why didn't he accept Abaya's answer? It would seem to be that Abaya's answer is more plausible. It's more glad, rather than say that the Reisha and Seifa is Rabbanim Tziyos Havashol. Amrlach, Rav Papa would answer, he would say the problem with Abaya's approach is because Tana Bereisha, Tava Shtei Neres, where the Tana mentioned first the Tava, the two Neres, meaning it mentioned first the Ketairas and then the Hatava, the Neres. Which Neres are we talking about? The last two. It says Ketairas and then Neres. Which Neres? Those are the last two Neres. So would it first mention the last two Neres, then Vahadar, Hatav's Chomesh Neres, and then later on mention the preparation of the first five? That would be, it's out of order. The Mishnah, our Mishnah, is talking about, it says the Ketairas and the Neres. Which Neres is talking about? The last two Neres. And then when it says later that the highest, the Geirel, the first Geirel is for the Neres, and then the third one, after that is the pious, is the Geirel for the Ketairas, the Neres is talking about the first five. So would it talk about the last two and then the first five? So that's why he rejects Abaya's approach. Abaya says too, no, what we were dealing with over here is not, we weren't talking about the order, the chronological order. It was just telling us what the halach is, that what the avodas that the Kohen Gadol does. It wasn't getting into the specifics of the order of the Seder. It's telling us what the Kohen Gadol had to do. So he had to do the Ketairos and he had to do the Neres. Now, as far as the precise order, the Sidra HaHaratang, the order of the Seder, it mentions it afterwards. Gufa. It says in the Mishnah, that the Kohen Gadol comes, he does the Zrikas, the Dam of the Tomid. So it says he comes to the corner of the Mizbeach, the northeast corner. So again, the Oila has two Matona Shnaim Shein Arba. They have to be done on the sides that are opposite each other, diagonally opposite each other, so that the blood is on all four sides. So he comes to the Mizbeach, and he does it on the northeast corner. That means that the blood is on the north and on the east, and then he has it on the diagonal opposite side on the southwest, so therefore the blood is on the south and the west. So first he comes to the northeast, and so he comes to the Bala Kermizrach's finest, nice and Mizrach's finest. That's where he applies the blood. Then Ma'arav's Ramis to the southwest, nice and Ma'arav's Ramis. Vatana Allah, and we learned Brisa on this Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon Isha Misra Mishana B'Tamid, he has a different order, and he says as follows. He says, Bal Kerem Mizrach's finest, Nisan Mizrach's finest. Like the Chacham said, there's no change here. He does on the northeast corner. Then Ma'arav is Draimis, he comes to the southwest, so here he's Machalik. He says, Nisan Ma'arav, he splits it up. He says he applies the dam to the west. Va'achar kach Nisan Droima. Then he puts on the south. So he does it with two separate applications. So practically more my time in the Rav Shimon Isha Mitzvah. Why would he say it that way? Why is it split up? Why isn't it done the normal way you do in Oila? Amar Rav Yochanan Mishum Chad Debei Rav Yanai Amar Akra. The pasuk says, Osir izim echad lachatas laHashem al oilas hatomed ya'aseh v'niska. He says that he brings the Reish Chodesh. The Sar Lachatas, it says, the Sar Lachatas al oilas atomid ya'aseh. It says, so we darshan it, that Sir Lachatas al oilas atomid. The Chatas, the avoid of the Chatas, should be on the oilas atomid, meaning that the oila, which is the tomid, which is a korban oila, but it should have a characteristic of a Chatas. And therefore, oilahi, it's a korban oila, but v'amrachmana avid b'maisa chatas. But you do some of the avoida of a chatas. Ha'ketzad. So the chatas, the korban chatas, has four applications on the top of the mizbeach, on the four corners. The oila is shtaim shein arba, but on the bottom half of the mizbeach. So we say that there has to be some characteristics of the chatas. How is that? Ha'ketzad nice and achas shishtaim. First, he does one the northeast corner, one which is two, meaning it's on the corners, so the blood is therefore applied to both sides, to the north and the east. Kimaisa oila, like the oila is done, and then you do shtaim shein shtaim, and then you do two separate applications, like a chatas that has separate applications. Shtaim shein abba kimaisa chatas. So when he comes to the southwest, he doesn't do one; he does two separate ones, like a chatas that has individual applications. The Chatas has a separate application on each corner of the Mizbeach. Let him do Shtaim Shein K'maisa Oila. Ve'arba Shein Arba K'maisa Chatas. Well, let him do the entire avodah like the Oila, Shtaim Shein Arba, and then after that do a full set of applications like a Chatas on four corners, Arba Shein Arba, like a Chatas. Gemara says, after he does a full hazor application of the blood like an oila, we don't find that there should be on top of that, in addition to that, another full set of applications. Once he's done kemaisa oila, then he has a chapara. We never find that you do and then repeat another set of hazors. But even according to you, this is unusual. We never find that you have applications that are part oila and part chatas, and according to you, you're doing shtaim shein arba, which is an oila, and then you do shtaim shein shtaim, which is a chatas. What must you say? That even though it's unusual, but there's a hekish, so it's makish the oila, it's makish the talmid to a chatas. So let's say in this respect also, there's a hekish, and you should do a full set of after the shtaim shein arba shein arba. The Gemara says no. Hasam pisuk matanas balmo. This that we separate the other two, the north and the south, rather the south and the west. That's just separating the matanas. It's considered insignificant. It's not a full set of hazos. It's not a complete set of hazos of achatas. It's just a variation in the oila. But the oila itself, the hazos of the oila haven't been completed until you do the north, the south, and the west. So to say that after you've done shtaim shein arba on both corners on opposite diagonals, and then to do a full set of four, to do a slight variation before you've completed the matanas of the oilam, before you've completed the last two, the south and the west, that's a piece of dami, that's insignificant, and that we would say we would tolerate. But to say that it's a complete full set of hazos, that's too significant and unusual. We don't find such a thing. Well, still, if you say that this is a hybrid, it should be part like an oila, part like a chatas. Why don't we say do one which is two on below, on the lower half of the mizbeach, kim maisa oila, which is like an oila, which is on the lower half of the mizbeach below the chut hasefra, and shtaim shein shtaim lamala kim maisa chatas, and then do the other two, which is shtaim shein shtaim lamala on the upper part of the mizbeach, like a chatas. Where it says lematzinu dam shechetz lamala v'chetz lamata. It's also, we don't find such a precedent that it should be such a significant shinoi and such a hybrid that part of the blood is below and part is above. We never find such a hybrid. Practicing more of a loy, don't we? Tanan, we learned legabe the blood hazos of the chatas apnimis of the Yom Kippur. It says he's a mimena achas lamala v'sheva lamata. It says he sprinkles some of the blood, one above and seven below. So you see that some are above and some are below. So we see it lamala and lamata. So we're assuming at this point it means that on the upper part of the kapiras and the lower part of the kapiras. So we see that chetzin lamala, chetzin lamata. The Gemara answers kemaslif. It doesn't mean literally above and below. They're not above and below at all. It's kemaslif. My kemaslif, mache Rav Yehuda ki magdana, like a whip, meaning it's not up and below in the higher part of the kaparas and the lower part. It's just the positioning of the hand, and it's machlokes rishonim exactly how this works, but it seems from Rashi that it's the positioning of the hand so that it's further away from him and closer to him. Meaning, just like someone who whips, when the shlich besen gives makas to somebody, they don't give it on the same spot. So it's on different areas of the back of the person who is getting the makas. Here also, it's that he does the sprinkling closer to the kapiras and closer to him, further back, closer and further away. But it's not up and below. According to the other Rishonim, it's that it's actually on the same spot. It's only the positioning of the hand. But in any event, it's not higher and lower. Correcting more of a loy, don't we find higher and lower about Vatsanan? We learned in the Mishnah, it says after he completes the Hazos in the Kaddish Kadosh, and then he finishes the Hazos by the Parayos. And then he does it on the corners of the Mizbeach. Then he does it al tira Mizbeach sheva pamim. So it's tira. So what does tira mean? My love, isn't the tira a palga of the Mizbeach? Doesn't mean the midpoint of the Mizbeach. And like people say, tira, tira. The tira, the purity of the day has come. So, and what does that mean when the people say that? Tira de Yoma, the Tira de Yoma, hu palga de Yoma. It means noon. It means the clarity of the day, that's when the noontime, when the sun is in the middle of the sky. So then it means noon, meaning the midpoint. So doesn't that mean that he does it keneged the midpoint of the Mizbeach, which inevitably would mean that some of the blood is above and some is below. So we see, therefore, that there's damim alamalamata. Rabbi Barshili says, Lloyd, that's not what it means. It means aguf the mizbeach. It's not on the midpoint. It means on the surface. It means on the top of the mizbeach, meaning the exposed part of the mizbeach. It says that when they had the vision by Maman Harsina, the Sil B'nai Yisrael, the vision of the nevuah of the Rebbeinu Shalom, it says Ke'etzem Hashamayim L'Tayr, with clarity. So that's what it means. Or Tir Mizbeach, meaning on the clear part, where it was cleared away, and the part of the Mizbeach was cleared away from the ashes, and he did it on the top of the Mizbeach, on the revealed part of the Mizbeach. So there's no dam below and dam above.